Welcome back. A well-known establishment in Cape Town, the Beerhouse, has shut its doors due to alleged extortion. The restaurant, which is situated on Long Street, has been in operation for 11 years. The business made the announcement on social media app X on the 1st of August, saying that the past weekend would be the last. The establishment says it's been dealing with extortionists since 2015, when one of its staff members was murdered. Let's now bring in the Beerhouse owner, Randolf Jorberg, who's joining us for this story. Randolph, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. So when we looked at the interview that you had with Carte Blanche, you said to them that they shouldn't broadcast the material that you had shared with them following the death of one of the doormen who used to work for you at the establishment up until you've left the country. Does this mean that you've left the country?
Absolutely. That is the case. I finally had to speak out about the real reasons for the murder, and that now also indeed led to the closure of Beerhouse. And I called out Mark Leifman, for the murder of my doorman, Joe. And I call for the government to put an end to extortion, because it's crippling the economy, it's crippling businesses, whether it's in the inner city nightlife or whether it is in the townships or in construction and beyond.
Was that a difficult decision for you to make, that on one end, not just only closing down the establishment, but also leaving the country?
The original intention was to hand over the business to my business partner, but once the Carte Blanche episode aired, the pressure became too much, and he decided, to completely close the business, and I could just agree to that, because I will not be, I cannot be responsible for another death of a, team member or business partner going forward. So the attempt to exit the business was unsuccessful, so we had to close.
So the incident that we're making reference to, that happened back in 2015. Between 2015 and up until the 1st of August, when you announced that you will be shutting down, what happened?
A few things happened. So the intention was to finalize the sale of Beerhouse, and so Beerhouse could operate independently of me. But because that fell through due to the release, due to me disclosing that there is this release coming up, which I had just, the Carte Blanche filming had just happened in the last couple of days before I left the country. My business partner and me had to decide to instead close down the business and end an 11-year success story on Long Street.
Yeah. So does that mean that there were more attempts to try and extort money out of you?
The reality is that since the murder, with a short interruption from 2017 to 2020, we always paid the racketeers. After the murder, we had no choice. And ever since, we operated just like any other nightlife business, which means if you operate in the nightlife as a bar or as a club in Cape Town, you have to pay up. Consumers need to be aware that they are paying for the legal defense of Mark Leifman and Nafis Modek when they go out to party in Cape Town.
Are you able to tell us how much you've paid in total?
In total, I would need to multiply roughly 1,800 Rand, give or take, by the number of months we operated. It's starting at 1,800, and there is basically no limit. I know of businesses that paid up to 80,000 Rand a month, and there is no way to escape it unless Police Minister Ntunu puts the SAPs to work and ends extortion for everyone.
Actually, but earlier on, we're in conversation with the Provincial Police Commissioner, the Lieutenant General Pategila. I just want you to listen to what he has to say, or what he had to say, and I'd love to hear what your response is to it and whether you believe that police are doing enough.
we have arrested a number of extortionists, but we are also not out of the wood as much as far as the extortions are concerned. But we have people that are in court as we speak now, the big guns that are in the Western Cape that are actually related, are also involved in extortions. Whether we talk about construction, mafia construction, or business extortions, or any extortions. We have and the gangs, because there is a relationship between all these. So we are systematically looking at the top guys, the top guns to ensure that we get there.
What do you make of that?
My understanding is that Nafis Modek is in court for a lot of things, for murder of Charles Kinnear, for a lot of other dirty business dealings, but not for the actual act of extortion. What I know for sure, that every single month his men are going around collecting the money. It hasn't ended. And if Nafis Modek is now possibly getting also trialed for extortion, it doesn't mean it will end unless the people that go around collect money every month are getting arrested and prosecuted now. And that is the reality and the history. Mark Liefman, for sure, he is not being trialed for extortion, but he ran this business for around about 10 years. So if people that did it in the past don't see any legal consequences for what they did, police is not doing their job. If those that did it while Joe, our doorman, was murdered, police is not doing their job.
Yeah. Have you taken any evidence to the police with regards to the payments that have been made? Because at least the payments will give us some sort of a paper trail in terms of how the money moved from your establishment into a bank account and via an invoice, I understand as well, and then eventually end up with who the guys at the top are, which the Provincial Police Commissioner speaks of.
Many times. The first time I did that 10 days before Joe Canyona's murder. And the last time I did it, again, when we continued payments after COVID lockdowns ended. And in between, we've done it, other people have done it. It's out there in the open. It's the best well-known secret. And I also announced, in the carte blanche filming, that I'm willing to stand witness for this matter. But, I'm not being approached by the cops. And if I am, it's a very short, hello, we are still here. And they don't seem to be serious about this matter.
Yeah. You're making reference to Murdoch. Do we know if anything has happened to Hussein Talib, whom you were seen in one of the videos having a conversation with, where there was this apparent extortion attempt?
I know that he is still a free man. I know that Hussein was seen on the side of a murder scene in the northern suburbs of Cape Town in the last 18 months. I know that Hussein is a free man, and I do hope this changes based on the evidence we have. But also, since I handed over this evidence plenty of times in the past, nothing ever happened. After it was now released via the carte blanche medium, no policeman ever approached me asking for the evidence again. Either they are so well organized that they still have it on file, or they, are just not interested.
Yeah, and finally also, Randolph, yes, this is about an establishment, it is about a business, but it also speaks to the livelihoods of the people that were employed by the establishment. Do you know what has happened to them?
I know that some of them have already been found employment elsewhere, and I am in busy conversations with other industry players, that have shown interest into well-trained staff. So I'm positive that they won't end up unemployed. But on the other hand, the reality is the business is closed. it will always mean every rand that goes to pay the gangsters by supposedly up to 400 businesses all around Cape Town, every rand that goes to the gangsters is not available, you know, to create legitimate jobs, to create, you know, positive ripple effects by that money being available to be spent, you know, for expansion, innovation, or, you know, so it's sickening to realize that every business in the nightlife pays towards the legal defense of Nafis Modek and Mark Liffman.